Hello everyone. In this video, we will learn about workgroup, domain, DNS, Active Directory, directory services, and LDAP. When you install an operating system on your home PC or laptop, the machine automatically becomes a part of workgroup. You might have seen labs in school, colleges, university, and even in cyber cafe. These machines are interconnected with each other on the network layer and they are part of a workgroup environment. Even though, if you want, they can be a part of domain, but usually for simplicity, they are part of a workgroup environment. As an admin, I have been given a task to create a workgroup of few machines which will be interconnected with each other. Users or students who logs on to this machine should be able to access resources and shared folder from other machines as well. These are the name of the machines, their IP address, the username and passwords which needs to be created. There is one scenario which I could have taken to make my life as an admin simple. The machine name has been set as server 001 to server 016 and the IP addresses has been given from 192.168.1.5 to 1.20. But instead of creating individual users, I could have created one user, common user on each and every machine and assigned the same password. This way, none of the user would have approached me as an admin to know their username and password. Neither I had to keep a track of all the username and their password who will be logging on to their respective machines. So I could have created a user with the name of student, assigned a password and created the student user on all the 20, 25, 30 machines. But that would have been a security risk. It would have been a poor design because in case if something goes wrong on, for example, on server 11, if something changes or something goes wrong on 11, I won't be able to keep a track who exactly made the changes. If the data was deleted, I there was no way by which I could have pointed out to one person because it was a centralized or a common user. I won't say centralized, but a common user created on all the machines with the same password. Creating different users on individual machines at least makes the auditing on these machines feasible. Let's take another situation wherein I have a server 001 on which user A logs on. The IP address of this machine is 192.168.1.5 and the user password is password1 exclamation. This user tried to access one particular share with the name of my share which is hosted on server 010. The machine IP address is 1.14. This machine belongs to user J who has the same password, that is password1 exclamation. Now user A try to access the share using the name of the machine, that is server 010 backslash my share. Will he be able to access the share? The answer is no. Why? Server 010 does not know anything about server 001 with respect to name and vice versa. Neither server 001 knows anything about server 010 on the network. What they knows is the binary, that is 0 and 1. So 192.168.1.5 knows about 1.14 and vice versa, but they do not know anything about the name of the machine. So the first request will be denied for sure. When the same user tries to access this share using the IP address of the destination server, which is server 010 with an IP address 1.14, the user will get a credential prompt. Now this user doesn't know anything about who is the user uh, on the server 010, which is J. So user A, upon getting the credential prompts, try to enter his own credentials. There is something known as authentication and authorization, which we will learn in detail in the later videos. But then, for simplicity purpose, authentication is when the machine checks your username and the password, that is authentication. And authorization is if on this particular share whom I'm trying to access, do I have access rights on those share or not? So it could be a possibility that, I have been authenticated, but authorization is denied. The other way around is not possible. You cannot be authorized before getting authenticated. So when this user in the third situation try to access and it gets the prompt, he entered the credentials user A, right? Now, this machine tried to check user A on its own database. There is a database that is secure, that is known as a SAM. It The server 010 tried to check its own SAM, its own database, to look for the credentials of user A, which it does not have. So there is no user A on 010. The access is denied. It says, okay, you are giving me a credential which I cannot authenticate. I cannot give you access. In the third situation, wherein the same user tried to access my share, and then in the credential prompt which he gets, he entered the credentials of user J. Now this time, this particular machine 010 checks user J credentials in its own database, which it is able to find. It authenticates and give the access to user A. In this case, uh, practically speaking, server A, server B, server 001, server 002 is not feasible in a work, in an organization. In an organization, the naming conventions are different. Here, I have taken the naming convention as the first three alphabets is for the country, second three alphabet for the state, next two digits are for the office zone, and the last three digits is for the numbers. So for the first one is for the name of the machine is India, Delhi. 01 is the office code, and then 001. Third one is for Pune, where is the office code is 05. Bangalore, fourth one, the office code is 07, and then Hyderabad and Mumbai at office code is 10. Look at the picture. It is becoming more and more complex. As an admin, it is now tough for me to remember the name of the server. The corresponding IP addresses range, if you look carefully, has also changed because naturally uh, the network in Delhi and the network in Pune has to be in different subnet. They cannot be in the same subnet. They are in different subnet. So 1.5 and then it is in 2.7 and 3.8. So machine name and IP addresses, the complexity is increasing. This is only a list of 17, 18 machines. What about 170 machine? What about 1000 machines? How, as an admin, can I keep a track of all these machines and their IP addresses? Next comes the username and the password. Practically, again, on these machine, I will not have user A, user B, user C. These people have their own name and they will have their own complex password. First of all, I cannot keep a track of their password. That is a security breach. So if you look closely, things are becoming very complex. I need one centralized place digitally on a computer which can keep a track of machine name and IP address and then username and the password. Here comes the concept of a domain because Workgroup does not have any centralized repository for sure. A domain does have. A domain consists of two parts. One is a DNS and the other one is Active Directory. DNS is Domain Naming System and Active Directory is AD. Domain naming system is like a digital register which will keep a track of machine name and the IP addresses. And Active Directory will keep a track of username and the passwords. And this solves my purpose because now I have a centralized database hosted on one dedicated machine, which is known as a domain controller. So domain controller is one machine which will have these two kind of registers. One is the DNS, the other one is Active Directory. The DNS will keep a track of all the machine name and corresponding IP addresses, and Active Directory will keep a track of all the name of the users along with their password. Now, coming back to the same situation wherein user A try to accessing server 010. Now think about that. The request this time will not directly go to the client machine. In between, there will be a domain controller. The domain controller knows the name and the IP address of 010. So you do not first of all have to type the IP address of that machine. You just need to remember the name of the machine. Solves one purpose. Great. The second one is when you enter the credentials, the authentication is now not carried out by the destination client machine, but by the domain controller who already has your credentials, because the credential will not be saved on your client machine. The credential will be saved on a centralized repository, that is the Active Directory. Your request goes to the Active Directory. Active Directory authenticates your password and then gives you the access. It sounds a bit simple. It is not, although we will go into an in-depth of how exactly this all works. But for now, it is important to understand the basic difference between workgroup and a domain environment. Domain environment consists of DNS and Active Directory. Now, an important point to remember here is, what is Active Directory? Is it Microsoft proprietary? Yes. Did Microsoft created the Active Directory from scratch? The answer is no. Active Directory was created based on an open framework which is known as directory services. Just like an OSI model, there is an open framework for directory services which is based on X.500, which already has a complete blueprint of how the Active Directory structure should be created. The hierarchy, how exactly the hierarchy has to be created. If I create a user in Active Directory, which all attributes are must and may, that has to be populated. These are already governed and decided by X.500 directory services model, based on which Microsoft has created their own Active Directory. Coming to the last leg of this video, and that is LDAP. LDAP is the protocol, a client server protocol, which will be used to access Active Directory. Just like you have other protocols, TCP/IP, similarly, LDAP is a protocol which connects or which sends your request, which connects you to the Active Directory. I hope this video was informative to you. I thank you for watching this and kindly like and share this video. Have a great day. Bye bye.